Hello, everybody. Welcome in. It's Laura from Tenacious Taurus Twin Flame Tarot, and this is going to be the Twin Flame forecast for the week ahead. Before jumping in with the astrological forecast, I do want to talk about a message and a download that I received over the weekend about the collective and kind of where many are at on the journey as we are in this stage right before completion. And so the number 10 has been standing out, and 10 is the completing of a cycle. When we get to the 10, numerologically speaking, we go back to the 1, which is a brand new beginning. And so we're kind of at that stage on the journey right before reaching completion. And when we get to this stage, it does cause a lot of pressurized mental activity. And so we just entered into Gemini season yesterday, and we did have the moon in Gemini over the weekend. It's now transitioned into Cancer, so it's a little bit softer. Pardon me. A 111 instant manifestation. And so we kind of got to go through this gateway of confusion and this pressurized mental stimulus over mental activity as part of this transition, as part of this birth process. And with this comes a lot of triggers that's going to require the twins to find their determination and their strength to get through this passageway right before completion. And so a lot of us are really starting to make sense of the past through a lot of shadow reflection and integration right now. And so there's a lot shifting in the consciousness of the collective, creating all of these triggering outer conditions requiring this mental patience, I feel, is a big theme right now, mental patience. And my little one has been triggering the crap out of me all weekend because she's definitely feeling this purging process. And so all of these very chaotic, penetrating energies are to get us to understand these patterns at the core, at the center, and release what is necessary to get back to a state of harmony so we can release all of this kind of discord and disorder. And so amongst all of this confusion kind of playing out collectively, it's making things very difficult to get to the point of the matter. And so there is also like this powerful temptation surrounding the twins as we go through this transitioning back into the light of the highest frequency. And so there's a lot of hasty actions being taken, karmically speaking, which is creating a deeper sense, I feel, of confusion for many of the twins. And so this is where we go through this very intense inner development. We do have Saturn going to be going retrograde this summer in the sign of Pisces. And so this is going to be a deep inner development process for many of the twins, wherever Pisces is also going to be hitting you in your housing side, because Saturn is the Lord of Karma. And so all of these pressurized thoughts are essential for the transcendence part of the journey and all of this awareness, right? So without the pressurized chaos, we will fail to take action. And so this inner development is what we need to go through, this hermit energy, the Virgo energy, to end all of the confusion in order to make sense of this, right? And so we don't want to waste these gateway portals. So I do feel a lot of the masculines and many in the collective have been getting lost in this confusing state. And it is very burdening on the psyche when we go through this disillusionment process, right? And so this is also where we reach our potential. And so that's also a big theme. What is your highest potential, right? And so we go through this process to gain this wisdom. And we are so close to the completion part, I feel, of this transition. And so divine timing is also at play, I do feel, when it comes to these cosmic shifts taking place. I do feel the masculine has been given the chance, or the doorway has kind of been presented or opened to him in order to seek this assistance from the divine feminine. But he has to accept that, right? And so I do feel that there's like this temporary state of confusion playing out right now that will be resolved as we move through the energies. And so we're kind of recognizing all of the superficiality in our lives. And so all of those superficial connections and whatever is in your life that is superficial, it kind of has to collapse too as part of this process. And we kind of got to release the overconfidence as well of the ego. And so there's a lot of faded things kind of playing out. And this brings forward the self-realization, right? And so there's a lot of symbolized signs and syncs coming forward as part of this phase, I feel. And this is also part of mastering our psychic abilities and our intuitive gifts. And so with the moon energy, that kind of transitioned through Gemini, it's bringing forward a very difficult process, right? And I kept being shown the Six of Wands. So I do feel we're kind of at the triumph stage, victory stage. Victory is assured, but this confusing process does eventually result in self-actualization or self-realization. And so there's a lot of forceful energies playing out astrologically right now, making all of this energy to the forefront, or bringing it to the forefront. And this is where we learn to overcome any doubts on the journey. So confusion will bring a lot of doubts as well. And so surrendering, though, brings the relief. And so we're at like this gateway of this promise. The Taurus new moon brought a promise of these new cycles, and the twins are here to be these inspirational leaders for others, and we're here to master our own sense of spiritual values and to keep that promise to ourselves in order to maintain these new orders, right? The new orders. And we demonstrate this through our energy and how we present ourselves and how we interact with others. And so there's a lot of justice energy coming through, because we do go through the struggle to overcome the struggle and to overcome the confusion. And it is only when we get rooted in our true values that we can bring kind of the harmony back into these relationships. And so we can't keep justifying the struggle, right, for fear of failure, of releasing the old, outdated patterns. And we can't demonstrate this new quality of life in these new orders that we're kind of manifesting without making sense of the past confusion and the distorted values within relationships. And so we kind of also have to realize our dreams for our life too. And so the mental confusion brings inevitable victory, but we kind of got to make it through the cosmic maze of the mind first. And so we don't want to also get carried away with the ego aspect as well, because when we come into this recognition, it can bring this high energy where we can lose perspective as well. And so there's a lot of diversity in Gemini season. There's a lot of duality coming up throughout Gemini season. We also did just have Mars enter into Leo, which is creating some passion. And so all of this pressure kind of has to be put on us. And so it's like we're kind of reconfiguring the data of our Akashic memories at this time. And so the faster the downloads come in with the Gemini energy, because that is the natural ruler of Mercury, the more it will increase the level of confusion, which will trigger a lot of anxiety. I know there's been a lot of collective anxiety. But this is also where we harness our inner strength, right? To just allow the confusion to process through us and understand that it will resolve. It always kind of resolves. And then we get to the state of our peace of mind. And then we're kind of intact with our beliefs. And so it might be tempting in the energies to overreact in some way, especially if like clarity has arrived. I remember like these major aha moments at the beginning of my journey, and you just want to share all of this newfound wisdom with everybody, but we kind of don't want to act prematurely either with the downloads. We want to really make sure we get back into a grounded state before sharing the downloads. And so after completion, after we release the doubt, right? And so doubt is also essential for us to find our inspiration for action. And so it's kind of like the spiral dance. And I'm getting really nervous because I heard Savannah go outside, I think, and I think she's outside by herself, and this could probably be very bad. But like in the spiral of life, there's endings and there's beginnings, and every new beginning comes from another beginning's end, right? And so the future is dependent on these karmic endings to reestablish new patterns. And so we kind of got to question the composure of these old forms too. We have to harness our own qualities within our own personality, and we do have to reach a state of like equanimity internally, and then we will continue the development process in a healthy state. And so all of this kind of does organically and naturally take its own course when we reach a level of acceptance. And so I do feel we're being asked to seek new goals, to take risks, no matter how destabilizing it might feel with all of this pressure. We need to overcome our doubts when it comes to restructuring these new foundations. But I feel there's like a lot of suspicion, a lot of paranoia playing out. And so the doubts are kind of asking us, can you still maintain your principles when it comes to these doubts? So I do feel we can't logically work our way through the journey. I do feel we're like in this breakthrough energy where we're kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Many have been receiving a lot of insightful downloads and messages, and so this is also a part of mastering the high priestess energy, is listening to your own inner voice, your own internal guidance, and to not be led astray by temptation. That is necessary in order to reach spiritual achievement, I feel. And so we also do got to go deep within the underworld with Hades, so we can recognize our own impatience. Patience is a big lesson on the journey, because when we resist what the universe is bringing forward in the now moment for that lesson, then we're playing into the impatience, right? And so it is in the depth, though, of the shadow that we have these insights, right? And it's the lack of the depth that you can go into also will be a reflection of the amount of light that you can bring back into the collective with dedication, right? And so I do feel the energies are promoting breakthroughs when it comes to these old mental habits. I do feel like the masculine's in this place of, there's a bad taste left in his mouth from his decisions. And I do feel he's in this state of oversensitivity with his emotional body, going through almost like this state of spiritual judgment or spiritual condemnation, and facing the injustices at this point in time. And I do feel facing that fear of failure. And so we can only condemn ourselves, right? And so he's kind of facing that divine mirror, which can be very distorted at this time as we kind of tame the ego when it comes to this foolish decision and dealing with liars and stuff. And so there's a lot of Akashic memories being applied collectively right now. And we do need to nurture ourselves. This is a tribal shift. This is happening collectively. And so this is where we establish these new rulerships. And so I kept hearing the phrase, a bird in the hand. And then I was taken back to the beginning of my journey where I kept hearing 3 birds, 1 stone, and 3. Everything for me has kind of happened in 3s on the journey. 3 is divine union energy. It is also the Empress energy. It speaks of manifestation, creation. It also speaks of developing fierce self-love. And so a lot of the feminines have recognized their dreams. And I do feel they're in a state, I feel, of structure and order. And they're kind of avoiding the delusion that many in the collective are going through right now, because she's kind of transcended these ego limitations through dreaming, right? And I do feel the feminine's reaching a level of accomplishment because we've gone back and we've learned the lessons of history when it comes to the inequality within these relationship cycles. And so the feminine took her energy and she went into that depth of reflection. I know for me it was a very deep, dark, reflective period of about 9 months to learn from the past, to kind of step into the future manifestations And I've matured a lot through this twin flame awakening experience from where I was 5 years ago, 6 years ago even. And it was the depth of that reflection that really allowed me to mature and step into a healthy sense of power through diminishing the lower ego. Because the ego still needs to be used. We still are human, right? We have a brain, we have a heart, but it's leading from the heart. And so we're here to gather this support. A lot of us have unseen support. And so I do feel the focus moving forward collectively is going to be on these communal efforts, right? And that's what true leadership is. It's about working together. It's about creating unity and facing these challenges together as one, right? As one collective. And so this is where I feel the veil has been lifted when it comes to these trickster contracts. And so we kind of got to really censor who we allow into our inner circle as we go through this process as well. And so we can't keep maintaining the status quo out of states of fear, out of states of, having to face the consequences of some poor decisions. And this is where selective memory can also come in. A lot of the divine masculines choose to have selective memory with the journey and leave out bits and pieces. And it's due to the resistance, but I feel all of this resistance has led to a pathway of deep dissatisfaction for a lot of the masculines in the collective because of the refusal to make these changes that are kind of necessary to advance and mature on the journey. And so I do feel the feminines come into this natural state of attunement, which is creating this justification and correct action needing to be taken, because we are here to maintain our integrity, and we're here to keep the promises that we made when it comes to these higher divine contracts. And we're here to strengthen our ego, our spiritual ego, in a healthy state. And we're also here to strengthen our physical body and our heart's health. And we can't strengthen our heart's health without living through the heart. And it's difficult to do this because we have to effectively transmit the memories and transmute the pain of the past life memories before we can kind of gather together. And this knowledge holds a lot of power, and we can't abuse the power of the gift of this knowledge that we've obtained through this awakening journey as well. And so we're here to benefit the whole. We're here to bring these new inventive ideas forward. And with the age of Aquarius, we're coming into new techniques to use the modern day world to our advantage, to release all of these past techniques that don't work anymore collectively. We're not here to conform. We're here to kind of rebel against this conformity and to build these new foundations. And so divine timing is key right now when it comes to this redirection of these new higher principles. And so we're at the gateway of opportunity, and we are here to step into service of these higher principles and to ground these higher principles on the 3D material plane. We're here to bring the higher energies down to create heaven on earth. And so the twins have a very high influence. And so we're not here for personal benefit on the personal plane either. And so true leadership is embracing this intuitive intellect. A lot of us have this gift for innovation and enhancing, the human collective to ensure equanimity moving forward. And so a right sense of action will always bring forward a level of respect, right? And we have to kind of earn that. And so I do feel that really hasn't quite been earned yet on the masculine's part, because he has chosen to kind of conform to society norms instead of breaking the mold. And this is due to some outsider attachments and connections and this prior rejection of the feminine, which was an error, and the lack of acceptance of this error. And so I feel the Uranus energy is bringing in a shakeup, and the Jupiter energy is demanding that we stop conforming, right, with Jupiter in Taurus. And so we can't keep taking these material driven directions. We have to release that conditioning we have to release that conformity, and we kind of have to deliver out of the womb space this new way of living, which is the gateway of peace, the 1111, the gateway of peace. And so a lot of reflection, I think, has kind of been going on as we come into this soul alignment or this attunement, which will bring that serendipitous interaction again. And it's the energy of kind of like being in the right place at the right time. So I do feel right now we're being asked to hold our vigilance, to hold our peaceful energy, divine feminine, because I do feel the masculine is definitely going through this ego provocation, because he wants to escape this boredom. It's like this boredom energy. And so I do feel there is a lot of negative manifestations playing out in the masculine's life. And I think there's a lot of spectators to this, creating some type of humiliation. And this is due to, the humiliation, the balancing of the scales of the feminine. Because the masculine made a lot of hasty decisions at the expense of others, and he chose war over peace. So I do feel he's kind of treading on thin ice, or treading the waters when it comes to the reflection of the behavior of self being reflected back to him. And so self-love is the most awakened that we can become, right? And so we have to understand the underlying codes of our negative behaviors in order to understand these new ethics, right? So I do feel releasing survival fears. I think a lot has been alerted into the masculine's life. And I do feel he's in this oversensitivity of these hurt feelings, like a 3 of Swords, due to some type of external factors, is kind of what I'm feeling. So let's talk about these energies coming in. I know Savvy's in and out. So we got a lot of aspects playing out with Mars this week in Leo. We've got Mars sextile the Sun. We have Mars square Jupiter, Mars square the North Node. We also have Venus sextile Uranus later in the week. Jupiter conjunct the North Node playing out. And then we close off the week on Sunday with the Sun square Saturn in Pisces. So I do feel there's a lot of issues rising when it comes to secrets and sex. We got the Pluto energy. There's a lot being brought into the light. And the universe is demanding that the masculine twin balance out this past life karma, is what I'm feeling. And so Gemini season is creating this mental progress, is what I'm feeling. A lot of destined events. And I do feel a lot of major disruptions for a lot of the masculines. So I do think it is going to be an intense week. Confusion, like I talked about, all of this dark energy is bringing a lot of conflict. And this is where we kind of develop out of these conflicting timelines. And so I feel the masculine's really torn right now. He's unsure of how to move forward, if we can move forward from here. Things I feel are just very, very heavy. There's a lot of heavy, heavy heart energy coming through. So I do feel the feminine is in a sociable atmosphere, busy, busy. I know I'm busy, busy, busy. And I do feel a lot of duality coming up. So there might be a lot of strange energies, or like strange syncs kind of popping up between you and your counterpart when it comes to your journey. You might even hear like their thoughts in your mind, or a lot of dream space. I know a lot of dream energy for myself. And so I do feel these energies are playing out in our favor, though, this week. So I do feel the Jupiter conjunct North Node. This is going to be huge. This is about purpose, right? This is destined, fated change taking place whenever the North Node is involved. It's also karmic. It's very karmic because it is also linked to the South Node, which is our past, our comfort zone, our patterns that we're here to ascend. And so I do feel a lot of unexpected elements will be playing out this week, but the result will be forward momentum, even if it's like bringing you this energy of feeling like you want to give up. And usually it is darkest before the breakthrough. So I do feel a lot of pushing and pulling energy. It's going to feel like Gemini, push, pull. And we're going to feel this within our solar plexus. And so it's like a power struggle dynamic playing out. Kitty, you're driving me nuts. I'm hoping she don't come back up and I hear the kids fighting outside again. So it is very combative energy, to say the least. And I do feel a lot of karmic wounds are coming up. A lot of these unconscious issues stemming around fears, even wounds around sexuality, survival, power, and abuse, like I talked about. And so we kind of got to destroy the fear. And so these energies are pushing for this resolution, especially when it comes to past life abuses and any mistreatment by the masculine twin, or even just the masculine archetype in general towards the feminine collective. And so the masculine twin is sitting in all of this baggage. It's like an energy field of biological baggage kind of being stirred up, even if it's really not personally their stuff, but it's collective energies as well. Because if, a biological male, they have a soul contract when it comes to the masculine collective energy. And so they're basically a channel for this past life karma just by our gender, right? And so there's a lot of challenges this week when it comes up to gender roles and this karmic baggage that we've kind of held on to. And a lot of these outsider karmic attachments are triggering these wounds to come to the surface for clearing, right? And so any residue of these wounds, you'll also be transmuting this week as well, Divine Feminine. That's also part of your purpose, to help resolve this karma, to reach a state of unity. And that's what we're doing. We're resolving the masculine and the feminine karma collectively, so we can go through these major purging shifts, so we can see clearly out of the confusion. So a lot of us are learning a lot at a deep spiritual level, I feel, this week. So whenever there's challenges, there's also advancement, right? That the soul kind of goes through. So whatever is going on, if you're not getting what you want or the results that you want, it's a learning process. So how can you reach the soul perspective of that process? Because that will just, if you don't learn from the soul through the heart, it will create more resistance. And so with Mars and Leo, and we've got a T-square, so this is the push for the evolution. Leo is a very fixed sign. Leo can be very egoic. And so there's a lot of irritability coming up needing to be worked through. So a lot of triggers, right? So deep down, though, the masculines, I feel, have this anger, this sacred rage towards themselves. And they've been resistant to feeling this, afraid of this push to go forward, right? And so there's a lot of fears because this is based in karma. And so where the masculine has mistreated the feminine, where he's abused his power, all of this is kind of coming up to be resolved, triggered, and purged to the surface through the solar plexus and through the sacral. And so I do feel the masculine's coming towards you telepathically with some strange dreams. I've had some really strange dreams for the last several nights. So don't react to whatever comes through in dream space. Kind of work through it. So if you get angry or upset, Divine Feminine, you're likely being triggered by the masculine's energy, because he's still got some type of negativity around him. So anything that's coming up, just allow it to be released this week, because we're clearing these historical karmic timelines. Like I talked about, these timelines of trauma, these cycles of abuse, we're releasing that. So I do feel there's a lot of distortion in the twin flame mirror this week, and this is due to fear. And wherever there's fear, there's basically a lack of alignment when it comes to love, right? We have a choice, fear or love. So take a look at your relationship with yourself this week, because I do feel any triggers are to resolve distortions, right? So the Venus energy. Oh yeah, the Venus energy. So Venus sextile Uranus. I do feel this is going to help us shift out of the patterns, especially where we've been stuck in this lower state. So the Venus energy is trying to bring us into this open state, right? The feminine energy. And so we're going to want to get grounded. I feel a big lesson this week is in grounding in your true spiritual power and strength, and reaching these higher mental states and perspectives. And the Saturn energy is starting to bring challenges, right? When it comes to taking responsibility for our creative role in the reality of our life, right? In our lives, because we create our life experiences based on our mental activity and our soul's vibration. And so we can't keep blaming others and complaining about these patterns. If we keep attracting the same issues, it means something in your subconscious is on autopilot. And so these challenges are to bring forward a gift, right? And it might not feel like it, but the gift of growth. So a lot of karma again this week to understand where maybe we have self-sabotaged a connection. And so it's not going to be an easy week. It's going to be a lot of heavy karmic processing, I feel, this week. So try to stay on the positive side. Once we deal with this karma and we clear it, then it's gone and we never have to deal with it again. So a week of a lot of spiritual testing. But we can step into the wisdom of the wounded healer if we do heal this once and for all, right? And so I do feel the masculines are being shown this week what is hidden deep inside of them that is causing this anger, and where they've been drinking poison from a poisonous cup, which is creating more problems and only deflecting union. And so I do feel a week of breakthroughs. So stay aware of the triggers and what's coming up for you, to understand why that trigger is there. I know for me, it's a lot of childhood triggers. And you might be experiencing a lot of childhood flashbacks and memories when it comes to these triggers, or people from the past, where you've had connections that are needing resolution. So we can kind of clear it all this week. So I do feel like if you'd like help with these energies, I know it's intense, feel free to shoot me an email or a message if you'd like to book a reading. If you'd like to sign up for my tarot class, that is launching May the 30th. So you got about another week or so to sign up for that. I would love to have you join me if you'd like to learn the tarot with me, and some really cool principles around each individual card. It's going to be a good time. Hit me up. Check out the information box below if you would like to book a session with me. And I do hope that y'all have a good week. I'm not going to pull cards today. The kids are home. Happy Victoria Day to my Canadian followers out there. I think is it Victoria Day? I think so. The Queen's birthday. I'm not sure. It's a holiday. Anyway, I'm going to go get some yard work done. So have a good day, everybody.